Alright everyone, I am back again. So, me, Freezer and PP, and QP all the way down here, this lovely guy, and my cat Maisie, who you can hear in the background, we finally had time, after I got home from work, to basically watch the season finale, episodes 9 and 10 of, sorry guys, I think my cat just ran off with my fidget spinner poppet. Okay, but yeah, we took time to watch the season finale. All right, and the only positives that I want to get out of the way right now is that I will admit, and it is a very small percent, and I mean very small percent, because you have to remember we had to get through some serious nonsense just to get to this point, that it was at least tolerable enough to not make you want to jump into it like a bleach filled pool with like the highest concentrated chemical possible. Like, it was at least tolerable enough to actually look at the screen for a long period of time without feeling like you're gonna die from it, basically. And the secondary thing that I'm gonna say that was at least somewhat positive was the fact that I was finally happy to see that Velma got what was coming to her, because now other characters were starting to add two and two together and realize that, hey, wait a minute, this person sucks. And then they actually had a backbone to tell this person to her face, hey, you're terrible. We're not friends, or we're not hanging out, or we're done. It was good to see that progression, because I was getting kind of tired of having her get away scot-free for all her negative attitude and actions towards people around her, and still getting what she wanted without any consequences whatsoever to her actions. So, those are the only two things I thought were worth mentioning. Honestly though, it was kind of hard to keep up with freaking episode 9, because I agree with everyone else. It kind of felt like a filler episode with a lot of stuff that had nothing to do with what the main story was originally meant to be about, which was the murder and trying to find out who killed all the girls and stuff. And, why on earth did that drop all of a sudden? I will say, hey, at least they took notes, and I guess they paid attention to, like, the people that were giving critiques, and this is like an honorable mention as far as like a positive, that they did address the whole what happened to Daphne's mother, because it was revealed that she actually found an item that was related to the murderer's case and stuff, the murder case of like how he or she went about doing what they did and stuff without getting found out so quickly or whatever, because it had a lot to do with like that stopwatch used for hypnosis and hypnotizing and all that shenanigans. And I thought that was interesting. It's a shame. It's a big shame that they waited this late in the series. You shouldn't have to wait until 9 episodes in, going into the finale, to finally get to that plot point. Like, it shouldn't have taken that long. Like, all this filler in between stuff that has nothing to do with the killings should have been about more people getting killed or going missing, rather than what y'all were putting in between these, spaces. Like, you were putting useless information that wasn't relevant in between each part until it got back to the relevant spot of the killer and whatnot, only when you thought it was important, which really ruined the whole build-up and stuff. And so it was kind of just boring, and I instantly forgot a lot of that stuff, not long after it ended. Because, if I remember correctly, I think the majority of it was that they were trying to keep Velma's mother happy enough to where she could be able to remember who the killer was. And even when she wasn't actually happy, she still ended up having, like, flashbacks of remembering certain pieces of, information. And the biggest thing that just upsets me is the fact that it's revealed that Velma's, Dad never even bothered telling his wife once they actually found out where she was and she now lives at the house with them again. That, like, he actually he wasn't just saying a joke back in that one episode about having an affair. He legit was doing that and stuff. So, yeah, they made it very aware to the mom, like her bio mom, that he basically had an affair while she was gone and had this kid, and she didn't even know about it. And I'm just like, bro, that shouldn't even, like, what even? So my question is if you even remotely try to do a season 2, how the hell is that gonna work? Because it's already bad enough that it's kind of been hinted that Velma's bio mother did not have a very good time living in that house with them, only for her to come back and find out that that's going on. So, like, how is this gonna exactly go exactly? Like, I don't really understand the situation here. And as far as, like, I don't know, like, in episode 10, I guess, like I said, they were tolerable. They weren't, like, as bad as, like, episode 1 or something, for example. But, like, I was about to say it was a good thing that it turned out that Norval actually moved to go to a different school to finally get away from freaking Velma, because, like, he finally had enough of her stupidity. And I'm glad to know that. But when they revealed who the killer actually was, it just kind of threw me off for a loop and stuff. Because I was like, okay, I didn't expect that. I'll give them that. I'll give them the credit that I did not expect that. Because I would have guessed that they'd be a lot more predictable than that. But to have it be, like, Fred's mother, of all people, to be responsible. And then they end up literally killing her by the end of episode 10. Like, not long after they found out that it was her, supposedly, and I say this for a reason, she ends up getting killed, like, not long after. And it's just freaking ridiculous. So, like, I don't know. It was kind of just crazy. Because part of me doesn't believe that she's the real killer anyways, if I'm going to be completely honest. Because there's, like, an additional scene where that one police guy goes to put Dia's file in the solved case file crate, and then you see that he gets killed off, like, I guess not off camera or off screen, because you see it pan out of the police office area, and then, like, his blood is splattered on, like, the glass window or something, so he gets killed by something. So, and they keep alluding to the fact that, Norval's grandmother's ghost is the one that's going around killing the people or whatever. So it's highly likely that if there was a season 2, it's going to be, oh, you thought that Fred's mom was the killer in season 1? Actually, no, haha, just kidding. It's actually the actual ghost that people keep saying it is this entire time, and we were just, lying, that it wasn't, because it actually is. So they're basically going to pull the actual killer really is the ghost of Purdue or whatever, and then think that they're super clever with it. So basically, I feel like all this is going to be is a never-ending loop of who is the killer, and that's what the whole thing's going to be. Like, they never actually truly solved the case. They just thought they did because her mom was found. But that doesn't really, confirm that that's actually the real killer, because since people have been, kind of brainwashed and hypnotized into saying the same stuff over and over again to follow the rules of the killer and stuff, who's to say that the actual killer isn't still out there? So that's kind of what I'm getting. So really, if that is the case, then this whole season finale was pointless and a waste of time, because you basically just killed a character that wasn't actually the real killer at all, just for the sake of it. Which is why I thought it was ridiculous that freaking Norval would come back to go save freaking, there's my Kit. Check her out. But yeah, it was weird, because, like, he literally was so serious about not wanting to help her, But then all of a sudden he's like, oh, he randomly shows up to help her again. All because she sent a voicemail before her phone got water damaged, saying how she loved him and stuff, and that she apologized for being a trash person, which she should have done that since the very first day she did that. Not this late into the series to finally apologize when she's been doing this the entire time since episode 1 onward. So I don't think he should have gave her a second chance so suddenly, because she literally accused his dad of being the killer, and it caused the police and a tank to destroy this guy's house. Okay? So, like, if I were him, I would have just said, look, I don't care if you said that in a voicemail or in person. I'm not giving you another chance if you destroyed my house. Okay? Let's be realistic here. Because, like, I would not do that at all. Plus, it's probably very traumatic for him, too, because when he went to go rescue them, he uses his katana sword to, like, deflect the bullet that, like, Fred's mom shoots in his direction to protect himself with, which causes part of, like, the cave ceiling to crash down onto Fred's mom, killing her into a bloody mess, basically. So it's like, dude, that must have been terrible. And it's clear that they all still dislike each other toward the end, too, because they're all, like, bickering at one another. Because you got Fred mad at freaking, Norval because his mom got killed by him. But then freaking Norval is mad because his mom shot at him first. And then freaking Daphne's mad at Velma because when they went to have that final kiss scene before Norval showed up to help them, she ends up saying, I love you, Norval, instead of Daphne when they finally try to get an official kiss scene. So she's pissed at her. It's like, what's the point of any of this? Like, I don't even feel like we've accomplished the true mystery of who the actual killer is. Like, they kind of just brushed it off like, oh, it's nothing really, and just, yeah, whatever, you know? Like, they just pushed it off to the side as if the story is now done and over with, when clearly it's not. Obviously, the killer is a ghost from what I'm gathering, because a person still died. It just so happens to be a police officer this time. So I don't know, because if they're trying to play it off as a new mystery entirely, I don't think that that's how people are going to see that as. I'm pretty sure they're not. But, you know, it's whatever. I mean, all I can say is it was somewhat tolerable. It was kind of good to see that some of the characters I had sympathy for at least grew a backbone and decided to put their foot down in certain ways to tell freaking Velma off in a way and try to do themselves better. It's just a shame that freaking Norval threw that out the window to go right back to the same mistake he already made the first time. Like, he had already finally reached a moment where he realized he didn't have to have Velma in his life. But then all of a sudden, you know, it was like, oh, the minute she said that, Euphoria, you know, it's time to go back to see the trash person again, even though he should have already known that if season 2 happens, he's just going to ask for the same thing to happen all over again. And I'm assuming Gigi and him must have broken up or something since he went back to go help, you know, Velma again, because she always constantly threatens to break up with him if this, that, or the other happens. Because you'll notice that she's with the, you know, popular girls again, and I don't understand why they had another, like, you know, sexualize the minors in the freaking bathroom again, all over again, because they missed the point as to why the first time they did that was wrong, because it's sexualizing minors. I will say another honorable mention of, like, kinda, not really, is that it seems like they knew that it was a bad idea to have a completely white van for, like, for characters to drive, because that looks like a pedo van. So I noticed that in the episodes for the season finale, they do have, like, paint put onto it. They said that Fred painted the van with what he called flowers to try to make it look kind of like the Mystery Machine. but I think what they put on it was slightly different. But I will give them credit. At least they added something to the van so it doesn't look like a fucking pedo van. Okay, because I was about to say, heck, I think they had Fred point out that it looked like a pedo van, to be quite specific, if I'm not mistaken, if I remember correctly. So that alone should have already told you that was a bad idea to have an all-white van in a show that has minors getting sexualized. Okay, that should have already told you that was a bad idea from the get-go. If even he said that. But yeah. But that's all I really think. Like, it's still a pretty trash show in my opinion. I still don't think I would recommend anybody watch this at all. Because, like I said, it's still pretty bad. It's not that great. It's been rushed through. The finale feels kind of pointless in a way, because I feel like it's still not fully solved completely, because there's a lot of unanswered questions and other things that haven't really been touched on, because they spent more time doing relationship shippings instead of like really focusing on the main thing that needed to be focused on. And so I feel like it's just not well put together. Like, it's not as good as it needs to be. Like, these 2 episodes aren't exactly 100% bad, but they aren't the best either, if that makes sense. So no, I still say do not watch it, because it's definitely not worth it. I also didn't like the fact that Velma went right back to basically criticizing white men, saying the exact same thing she said in like the episodes where she's straight up just criticizing men the whole time. Because I think in like episode 7 was a hate men episode as well. And then like in the early stages from episode 1 onward, she just kept thinking that all men were bad, but then she would always talk about how like all white men are bad too. And she went right back to reverting back to that negativity all over again, because apparently like Fred's mom apparently wanted to like take the brains of like popular girls to swap their brain into like his body or something, because she thought that he was just too incompetent to run the family business or whatever, which came out of nowhere, because like it didn't make any sense. Like, it really didn't make any sense to me. Like, if that was the implication, then they never really did a really good job of building that up, basically. They didn't really make it that obvious. So it was kind of like hard to pick up on that, to even see why that would be connected, I guess. I don't know, because I forgot to point that out. But yeah, it's like it could have been better, but it's not. Like, again, the only part that was really the most funniest thing in this entire series of season 1 would be when Velma got hit by the police car and some of her teeth fell out. That to me is still the most iconic freaking scene in the entire series. Everything else is kind of just you know. And there's no point in having a character grow a backbone and stand up for themselves if you're going to then turn around and retcon that entirely and have them go right back to going to simp mode all over again. That was dumb. That was stupid. You might have not have had that arc of him learning to, to stand up for himself if he was just go right back to square one, but be 10 times worse about it. Because I was about to congratulate him for actually escaping the nightmare, but apparently he likes pain, I guess, because he went right back to it again. And I don't like that you made his dad look like he could have potentially been the killer, because y'all like zoomed in on his face and made him look creepy and eerie, like he actually was trying to harm Velma and the baby and stuff, even though I know darn good and well he wasn't going to, but that's not the point. But yeah, that is my thoughts on this. I really hope there isn't going to be a season 2, but because of that extra extended scene, after credits, I'm sad to say there probably is going to be a season 2, and I'm hoping that if at all, they'll actually do better, but I highly doubt it. But either way, if you guys, want me to keep up to date with that on whether or not they're doing that or not, and it turns out they are, would you guys be interested in me continuing to look at these episodes and kind of give you an idea of what I think about it? Because if so, I might consider it. I do apologize that the last video I made for episodes 7 and 8 for not being as good, because I wasn't really feeling that well. And I had to keep doing multiple retakes of that video because there was a lot of noises and distractions going on. And the cat kept running in and out of the room and stuff, and just a lot of stuff kept happening. So if you want, I can, like, redo that video too if you want me to. I don't know. Unless you guys think it's already good enough as is. It's just, I couldn't, like, make this video until later because, you know, I work almost the whole morning and don't get off until about, like, 3:30 in the afternoon. So by the time I finally get home to make recordings about what I think about these types of episodes, it's usually later in the day or something. I just hope that this is enough to encourage you guys to not look at this nonsense, because it's totally